Good morning from Belgrade, Serbia. It is around 8:45 here on this Saturday morning. Streets are pretty quiet this Saturday here in Belgrade. Let's take a short walk and talk about the news. And the big story is what's going on in Gaza and on the Gaza Strip. I was hanging out yesterday in Belgrade and my Telegram just kind of blew up with all of these news updates about a type of military operation. Maybe one would say a special military operation. But we had all kinds of reports that Israel had launched a missile strikes, an attack on the Gaza Strip, and it's still unfolding. Rocket launches to the Gaza Strip, airstrikes in Gaza continue. I'm looking at just all kinds of feeds on Telegram right now with regards to what's going on in Gaza. The Israeli army announced the beginning of a large-scale air operation in the Gaza Strip. Our policy is unambiguous. Whoever threatens us will be destroyed, the country's defense minister. Over the past 24 hours, 30 sorties of combat aircraft were carried out against 40 targets using 55 missiles and shields. The Iron Dome air defense system intercepted 60 shells and missiles. The interception efficiency was 95%, according to the Israeli Defense Forces, according to a statement that they made. So the news is it's coming in continuously as to what's going on in Gaza. And we'll continue to follow everything that is happening there. Just conflicts breaking out everywhere, it seems. And I said a special military operation. I wonder what the international reaction is going to be with what's happening in Gaza. Are we going to see sanctions? Are we going to see steps taken and actions taken like what we saw with regards to Russia and Ukraine? Probably not. But just last week you had a flare up in Nagorno-Karabakh, Azerbaijan and Armenia. It's still very tense. Russian forces are keeping things stable. You had Taiwan, Pelosi. Things are not stable there, but China is very much in control, it seems, of the situation. And I'll get into that in a bit. I'll talk about that because that's one of the main stories. And of course, you had the tensions, a possible conflict breaking out in Kosovo, Metohija. And we do have reports that came out this morning that Joseph Borrell, the EU foreign minister, he has invited Serbia and Kosovo, the Kosovo authorities, President of Serbia, Vučić, he has invited them to talks on the 18th of August. I reported on this a couple of days ago, and that has been confirmed. And now you have this in Israel, on the Gaza Strip, between Israel and the people in Gaza. And so, oh boy, let's monitor the story and see how it unfolds, and hopefully things calm down. I'll leave it there, and let's get to some more news. And right now, I am at, I believe this is St. Mark's, if I'm not mistaken, in downtown Belgrade. It's pretty much smack in the center of the city. So let's shift gears and let's discuss Taiwan, I guess. I don't know which conflicts to like. I feel like every day the conflicts are multiplying and multiplying, you know, like almost exponentially, it seems. It's not a good sign. Taiwan, China. So China is, I'm gonna find a place to sit. It's starting to get really hot. So China is kind of balloon testing, it appears, a blockade of Taiwan. A lot of military drills and exercises. And it really is kind of a test run for a possible blockade of Taiwan in the future, the near future, perhaps. And they've cut off a lot of I think they've actually blockaded all and any trade going into Taiwan, and including sand, which I didn't really know about, the dependency that Taiwan has on sand, and they actually do import a lot of sand from China, but also from Australia. I believe like 40-something% of the sand they import comes from Australia as well, but the Chinese have banned sand exports to Taiwan, and because of the blockade, they can't really get sand imported from Australia either, and the sand is needed to manufacture semiconductors, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's an important component in the production of semiconductors. And of course, what a beautiful park this is, by the way. What a beautiful park. And the Chinese have blockaded the sand, and thus you're going to get all kinds of problems created for the semiconductor industry. But this is just like a test run for what may eventually come, both on an economic side and on a military side. China has also sanctioned Pelosi and her family, which I thought was interesting. Not only did they sanction Nancy Pelosi, but they've sanctioned her entire family. So I guess Paul Pelosi, that's her son, who was doing business in Ukraine. He's kind of like the goody two-shoes Hunter Biden. You know, he's like running around and making all these deals like Hunter, but he's just not as involved in the extracurricular activities that Hunter is involved in, or at least he's not uploading those extracurricular activities onto iCloud. But yeah, they've sanctioned Pelosi, her whole family. You had the Chinese ambassador in France. He had a statement yesterday, said the United States had a hand in creating both the Ukrainian and Taiwan crisis. You had the Chinese foreign minister, who also made a statement saying that China and Russia need to get closer together, need to solidify and strengthen their partnership, their relationship, which is moving towards, if it's not already, is moving towards a de facto alliance. So you had that as well, those statements. And what else did I want to say about China and Taiwan and what's going on there? The Chinese also put out a list of all the actions they're going to take against the United States. And one of those actions, one of those items, is that they're going to be pulling out of any type of cooperation that they have with the United States related to climate change. So Pelosi's probably back in the United States already lecturing Americans about climate change, and the Chinese have said, you know what, we're out of this climate change nonsense. We're done. We're done humoring you. We're done talking about it. We're done negotiating about it. Carbon emissions and what are those scores called? ESG or what? I don't even know the name of what are those called? What are those scores that BlackRock, the CEO of BlackRock, is forcing every company to adhere to? I think it is the ESG, environmental, social, governance, whatever it's called. Yeah, China's just like, we're pulling out of all of this nonsense. Screw it, we're done. So that was good job, Nancy Pelosi, and of course the U.S. The U.S. Congress, the Senate and the Congress, I believe they passed something like 590 billion spending package or something like that, which is called like the Inflation Reduction Plan or something along those lines. But it's really just a plan to give a boatload of money to all types of environmental, renewable energy causes and companies. And meanwhile, they got probably the most important country that they need to get on board with regards to the environment. They've alienated it. Yeah. But they're going to give the money to all of the renewable energy companies and all of these groups and NGOs, because that money, you see, they give the money to the NGOs, the renewable fossil fuel or against fossil fuel, renewable energies, climate change companies, NGOs, institutions. They give them all this money. They pass these bills, give them all this money. They give it a nice little name like the Inflation Reduction Act. It's not going to reduce inflation because you're just going to be printing more money and pumping more money into the economy. But anyway, you give all these NGOs the money, these climate change NGOs, and these climate change NGOs then, pump that money right back into supporting the politicians, the lobbying and the campaign donations. It's all one circle. Of course, the American public, well, they get the short end of the stick in all of this. Of course, the 99% of the American public will, they have to deal with the inflation and the reckless spending, as well as the reckless foreign policy from Pelosi. But yeah, so that's what's going on in Taiwan. That's going to be my clown world, actually. Pelosi and her husband, and some interesting news there. That's going to be my clown world. Boy, oh boy. What a tangled web the Pelosi's weave. Let's now talk about, let's see here. Erdogan was in Sochi. He met with Putin. Erdogan and Turkey is supposedly, this very important NATO member, and they are. And they're this NATO ally and this U.S. ally. But boy, does Erdogan visit Putin. It's almost like on a weekly basis, it seems. And they talked about all kinds of stuff and all kinds of issues. And there are a lot that they needed to talk about. And of course, they discussed economic cooperation, the situation in Turkey, the situation in Russia, the sanctions in Russia, the economic situation and the inflation in Turkey, and how they can broaden and deepen their economic cooperation. But of course, they talked about a lot of the hot spots for which the conflict areas for which both countries are engaged in one form or another. Ukraine and how Turkey was supplying those drones to Ukraine, but now it looks like Erdogan is going to be manufacturing those drones with Russia. It seems those Bayraktar drones. So Russia was not very happy with the fact that Erdogan was providing drones to Ukraine. Now it looks like Turkey might be doing some sort of cooperation on a manufacturing level with Russia. So looks like you have a win there for Russian diplomacy. And they talked about Nagorno-Karabakh, Azerbaijan, Armenia, They definitely discussed Syria, and they talked about fighting terrorism in the region in general. And yeah, they covered a lot of topics. But to me, the most interesting part about all of this is no matter how many problems Turkey has with Russia and Russia has with Turkey, and no matter how difficult the relationship between Putin and Erdogan, they always manage to meet each other on a regular basis. They talk to each other almost daily, it seems, and they work on their problems, and new problems come up, and they work on those problems again. And it's just a constant push and pull, constant diplomacy that takes place between Turkey and Russia. And no matter how difficult it is, they manage to sort through things, it seems. You know, Turkey's a tough negotiator. Russia's a tough negotiator. But they constantly engage in diplomacy. And I think that's the most interesting part with regards to the relationship between Turkey and Russia. And Erdogan definitely views, if you look at his actions and the amount of meetings that he takes with Russia, and the fact that he just met with Putin and Iran in Tehran just about a week and a half ago, so they could discuss BRICS and the Shanghai cooperation and all of these issues. And here he is again in Sochi. So for all of the talk and rhetoric about Turkey being a NATO ally and Turkey being a U.S. ally, if you look at Erdogan's actions, he is flying wherever he needs to be in order to meet with Putin. And I think that, above everything else, shows you the significance and the importance that Turkey places on their relationship with Russia and the East in general, and this fair world order, and the importance that Russia places in working with Turkey. So that was important news. By the way, Putin, he had a little bit of a troll for the EU with regards to gas and energy and everything that's going on with the Nord Stream 1 pipeline and the turbine that never seems to get fixed. Putin said this about Turkstream, which is the other pipeline, another important pipeline that provides gas to the European Union, to Europe. He said, and I quote, "The Turkish stream, unlike all other routes of our hydrocarbon supplies, works properly, works smoothly, without any failures. I think our European partners should be grateful to Turkey for ensuring uninterrupted transit of our gas to the European market." That's Putin at his best. Europe should be grateful to Turkey. Ursula von der Crazy should call up Erdogan and, say thank you. Thank you, Tayyip. Thank you for keeping Turkstream running. Thank you for not having any turbine failures. God forbid Erdogan has to send a turbine to Schultz and then to Trudeau. Wouldn't that be a nice video to make? But yeah, I think this was a nice little jab from Putin towards the EU, no doubt about it. And I remember it was Erdogan who, about a year ago, he had Ursula von der Crazy and Michel meet with him in Ankara. I believe it was at Ankara, and he had one chair next to him, and Michel ran over and sat on that chair, and Ursula von der Crazy was like, "Well, where's my seat?" And Erdogan was like, "Ursula, you can sit over there on the sofa," like way over there. And he completely humiliated von der Crazy. And then von der Crazy came out with a tweet and said Erdogan did this because, toxic masculinity and stuff like that. But I think it was a test from Erdogan. He put one chair next to him on purpose, one chair, and he just wanted to see who's going to sit there. Who am I really dealing with? And it was Michel. Michel's like, "I'll take that seat." And he left Ursula hanging. But yeah, that was a nice troll from Putin. Well done, Vladimir. Well done. And since we're on the topic of Russia, let's segue over to Russia and Ukraine and what's going on there. The Kremlin has designated France an unfriendly country. No big surprise there. I think it was bound to happen. Okay, unfriendly country, as is Greece, where I'm normally based from. So France joins the club of being an unfriendly nation. This means that the Russians can start to whittle away at their embassy presence in Moscow and other measures that are going to be taken against unfriendly nations. But France has landed in that unfriendly bucket. And Russia has also sounded off, the Kremlin has sounded off with regards to the Brittany Griner sentence and verdict that came out the other day, 9 years in a penal colony in Russia. I said in my video yesterday, so maybe this is kind of a minor correction, but I did say in my video yesterday that she was charged, allegedly she was bringing in like hashish and cannabis and like the little e-cigarette things. I mean, I don't even know how it works, to be quite honest. And I said that in my video yesterday. I have no idea how this stuff works. But from what I understand, it was, according to Griner's lawyers, she was charged with bringing in the marijuana CBD and hashish CBD oil or something like that. You have it in an oil and I guess you smoke it. And I don't know, is it like to ease pain, to give you a high? I'm not sure. So supposedly it was an oil, like a marijuana hashish CBD oil that you place in these e-cigarettes. And I could be wrong there too. So, I mean, what I'm saying right now is from my limited knowledge of smoking. You can tell I'm not a smoker, but so yeah, they anyway. Let's get to the geopolitics. This I kind of know a thing or two. The Kremlin said that Griner can appeal. She can appeal the sentence, and she can work through the legal system. Now Lavrov, he replied to Biden's fit. Biden kind of had a little bit of a scripted meltdown, I guess you would say, with regards to the verdict for Griner, and he said this is unacceptable, and we demand that Russia release Griner and all of these things. And Lavrov said this. This was his statement. Thunderous public remarks by U.S. officials on the possibility of exchanging American citizens convicted for crimes in Russia are not what is needed to negotiate such an exchange, according to the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. This is what he said on Friday. Moscow is prepared to discuss the issue, but only in the proper way, he said. Quote, there is a specialized channel that was agreed upon by the presidents of Russia and the U.S. Whatever public statements whoever makes, this channel remains relevant. Man, Lavrov he is just such a good diplomat. Such a good diplomat. Basically, his statement is pipe down, Bidenopoulos, Greece's favorite son, Joe Bidenopoulos. pipe down, Bidenopoulos, and stop with your scripted public virtue signaling outrage. You have a dedicated channel. You have the diplomatic back channels. They're open. Give us a ring. Call Germany. I said this yesterday in my video. Call Germany. Order Olaf Scholz to release the one prisoner in this exchange that we want, along with Bout. Let's make it a 2-2 equal exchange and be done with this. And you can do all of this without yelling and making these statements and creating this entire little theater. Just use the diplomatic back channels that we've already set up. That was pretty much Lavrov's statement right there. And to finish things off before we get to our clown world, by the way, since I mentioned Turkey, remember that story about the Turkish football fans that were chanting Putin chants as they were playing against Dynamo Kiev? The Fenerbahce football fans? Well, they were fined by UEFA for their chanting of Putin. They fined the team 50,000 euros, or $50,900. And they also ordered a partial closure of Fenerbahce's Ulker Stadium, which will consist of at least 5,000 seats during one match the club hosts in UEFA competition. So they'll have to block off, I guess, 5,000 seats in their next UEFA match and a fine of 50,000 euros. So that was the punishment for chanting Putin. So any other football clubs that feel a need to chant Putin's name, I guess you know the punishment that meets the UEFA crime. God forbid you chant Putin during a football match. Let's talk about this document, and we'll wrap it up with this document, and then talk about do a quick clown world. So there's this document that came out. Now I have to say before I talk about this document that I don't know if it's real. I don't know if it's fake. I can't confirm anything, but it is an important story because of the Ukrainian analysts and bloggers that are talking about this. I want to make this very clear. It is Ukrainian bloggers and analysts that are really discussing this document that seems to be leaked from the Ukraine military, the AFU General Staff. And I'm going to read you what this document says. And once again, I can't confirm if this is fake, if this is real. It seems like it's real. I'll say this. It seems like it is real. I mean, with this leak, there was a whole bunch of documents, like images that came out with the blogger write-ups and the analysis with regards to this leak. Like all the documents are there. They all look genuine. I mean, you know, I've seen documents like this. It looks like it's on the up and up, but once again, this could be totally false stuff. So I just want to preface that. But the reason I'm going to talk about this story is that it's related to the conflict in Ukraine. It's related to another $1 billion that the Biden White House said they're going to give Ukraine now. They've greenlit another $1 billion to all the money, the weapons that are being sent to Ukraine. It's directly related to that. And more importantly, this is a topic that the Ukrainian bloggers and analysts are discussing in great detail. Not the Russian, even though they're picking up the story, but the Ukrainian side is discussing this in detail. And this is all coming from Ukraine media and Ukraine Telegram channels and blogger analysis. So this leak shows a few things. It says that the AFU, the Ukraine military, are only 43 to 48% complete. Medical workers are at the limit of their strength. The seriously wounded are transported to Europe. That actually has been confirmed, and the United States, from what I understand. Small arms and bulletproof vests are not enough. About 191,000 soldiers were killed and wounded. That number just completely floored me. I'm kind of speechless at that number. But, okay, there's not enough hydraulics and liquid nitrogen for the M777 howitzers. No one cares about the missing. There are no statistics. The equipment transferred by the West is running out. Western weapons are operated by amateurs since there are no qualified specialists. That one just makes logical sense. You know, that point of this document leak makes logical sense. There is no way to repair weapons on the spot due to the lack of spare parts and specialists. Everything is sent to Poland. That also makes sense. And the morale and psychological state of the Ukrainian military is practically at zero. Even campaigns of encouragement in social networks and concerts do not help. So that is this document that came out. And once again, I'll say it again, for YT, for YouTube, for anyone that says, how do you know this? I don't. This is a document leak that Ukraine media, independent media, bloggers, Telegram channels are really discussing. They're the ones that came out with this leak. They're the ones that showed these documents. They're discussing this in detail. I can't confirm it true or not. In my opinion, it seems pretty true. Some of the points in there are not that controversial, and they've already been revealed. You know, sending the wounded to Europe or to the United States has been revealed. I think it makes logical sense that they don't have the specialists to operate this equipment, given the time constraints and everything that's been happening with regards to the conflict. the war and the special military operation, it makes sense that they don't have the specialists ready for these weapons. And it's obviously it's difficult to repair these weapons, given the damage that the Russians have done to the Ukrainian logistics. So a lot of these points are pretty much common sense, but some of them are pretty shocking, like the 191,000 killed or wounded. That floored me. That floored me. So that is the news coming out of Ukraine, and I just want to read you an excerpt from Moon of Alabama, and they are military experts, from what I understand, and they say with regards to this document, there are some pictures of documents written in Cyrillic script attached to the above tweet. So there's a tweet. I'll put the tweet up there so that everyone can see it. The documents look legit. The overall numbers and issues mentioned seem plausible to me. The high number of casualties plus the missing is not astonishing. It would be astonished, though, if the Russian army and its allies have more than 1/10 of those. This is mostly an artillery war, and the Russian side has had a vast superiority in guns and missiles. And I have had emails from someone who I have confirmed is operating in the theater of battle in the area in Ukraine, and they have confirmed that this is very much an artillery war, very much. And thank you to that person who corrected us on a lot of our reporting, especially with regards to the fact that when me and Alexander in a recent Duran video said that much of the fighting is being done by the Donbass army. They are doing a lot of the fighting, but it's been brought to our attention that the Chechens, the Wagner group, the Russian military, they're all really carrying a heavy load in this conflict. But the point was driven home to me in this communication that this is very, very much an artillery war. I mean, big time artillery war, and it's something that we haven't really seen in many decades. So it's a very, very different kind of war for the media to try and report on, and for the collective West to try and understand. So with that said, let's do a clown world and wrap up this video so I can grab a coffee and start to get this video up. The clown world has to deal with Pelosi. And we have now reports. We've actually had the police report released with regards to her husband's DUI. And it's more than just an innocent DUI. From what we understand from the police reports and from a lot of reporting from Fox News, Pelosi, the husband of Nancy Pelosi, the guy was sloshed. I mean, he was mega drunk in a big way when he was pulled over. And not only was he mega drunk, from what I understand, there was a lot of damage done to both vehicles from the police reports. Both vehicles were heavily damaged. Pelosi's car and the victim's car that he, from what I understand, that he hit. And when the police got to the scene, Paul Pelosi, is it Paul Pelosi, I believe? Yeah, Paul Pelosi. And I think their son is Paul Pelosi Jr., I think. I think so. Anyway, Paul Pelosi, as the police pulled him over, he pulled out what's called a CHP 1199 like membership card, and it's kind of like a card to the California Highway Patrol Foundation, of which Pelosi has given a lot of money to. And he was kind of like, going to, I guess he was drunk out of his mind, but he had the wits to him to say, well, officer, here's my driver's license, and check out this card where I donate all this money to you guys. And the police had to note that down in their report. And here's what Fox News says. Pelosi, who is the who is the millionaire, I was going to say multi-millionaire, he is a multi-millionaire, who is the millionaire husband of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, was arrested after he was involved in a car accident, injuring another driver on the evening of May 28th. According to court documents, Pelosi showed his CHP 1199 ID card along with his driver's license after responding highway patrol officers requested identification. Fox News Digital was first to report that police alleged Pelosi handed officers a CHP 1199 foundation card when they asked for his ID. These cards are used to identify our members at various public and private events and to show pride in membership and support of the CHP, Reed said. California Highway Patrol. So he was trying to bribe the officers, period. Let's just call it what it is. But an even more interesting part about this clown world is that all of this went down when Pelosi decided to take her trip to Taiwan. So outside of Nancy, let's walk this way. This is a fantastic park, by the way. Really well kept, nice design, beautiful fountains. Belgrade. Let's see if we can go into the church real quick. If you guys want to stick with me as I finish off this clown world, let me see if we can go inside the church. So outside of Pelosi going to Taiwan in order to create tensions and escalate with China, to maybe look after some semiconductor business deals, maybe make some semiconductor stock trades. Aside from all of this stuff that were the reasons for Pelosi going to Taiwan, you also have the reason that she wanted to distract away from this police report that I'm almost certain she knew was coming, no doubt about it. And so Pelosi said, you know what? Let me get out of the United States. Let me take a trip to Taiwan. Let me stir up some trouble, cause a ruckus, cause a big international mess. Let me please my donors in California, because they've been pumping a whole bunch of money towards me, and let me also see if I can make some money looking at these semiconductor companies and maybe make some semiconductor trades. And that was, it worked out for Pelosi. This kind of worked out well, because as she was in Taiwan and everyone's focused on Taiwan and everything that's going there with the one Pelosi, the other Pelosi's police report is coming out, and boy was it bad. This guy was in bad shape. I mean, man. And again, I guess if you're partnered with Nancy Pelosi, I imagine you'd be getting sloshed as well. That's just a joke, everybody. That's just a joke. But you know what this reminds me of? And we're almost at the church, and we'll go inside. So thank you for sticking with me. I want to see if I can show you the inside of this church. But what this really reminds me of, on a final note, is it reminds me of the distraction that politicians use when they have personal scandals. They use foreign policy distractions to take away from their personal scandals that are about to hit. And Bill Clinton was the master of this. When he got his you-know-what from Lewinsky in the Oval Office, well, he was undergoing all kinds of scandals and media scrutiny, and they were working through this whole impeachment process, all of this stuff that was hitting the Clinton administration. And in 1998, as Clinton was undergoing this impeachment process because of what he did with with Pelosi, with Lewinsky, Clinton and Pelosi, Bill Clinton and Pelosi. Yeah. There's a side I don't want to think about. But as he was going through this scandal, because of what he did with Lewinsky in 1998, he decided to bomb Iraq because they weren't, according to the Clinton administration, they weren't complying with weapons inspectors back then. And so he bombed Iraq in 1998. And then in 1999, after his impeachment and all that stuff wrapped up in like February, March 1999, what did Clinton do? He decided to launch an attack against Serbia, and he started bombing Serbia and Belgrade. And that completely distracted and took away from the Lewinsky impeachment scandal that was plaguing him for many, many months and years. So that's the video, guys. The Duran.locals.com and the Duran.locals.com, Rumble, ODYSEE, BitChute, and Telegram.